Hello everyone and welcome to this week's episode of the Aftermath series. Let us waste no time at all and dive right into this week's episode of Critical Role. So we begin this episode in the aftermath of the massive bomb that the Traveler dropped at the end of last episode, where he fully revealed himself to be Artagan, an archfey from the Feywild. And he's not actually a god. And he opens up the conversation with asking Jester for help with trying to figure out what he really wants to do. At first, he liked the attention he was getting as this sort of godlike figure, but now that more and more followers are showing up, it's becoming a little bit too much work for Artagan, and he's wanting to try to take a step back and not fully become a god. And so in this conversation, Jester and the Traveler are just trying to figure out what to actually do once TravelerCon comes around. They ultimately settle on the idea of the Traveler potentially not even showing up to TravelerCon, and the real magic was the friends they made along the way. At least that's what the Traveler is hoping for. Hopefully, with that idea put into his followers, they'll stop paying attention to the Traveler and more focus on building the relationships around themselves. Now, Jester was fairly enthusiastic during this conversation. However, when they parted ways for the evening, Jester seemed rather conflicted. She wasn't really sure how to process everything that just happened. You know, for her, the Traveler has been this godlike entity, her best friend since she was a young girl. And now that he's revealed to not be a god and he has no idea what he's doing and he wants to stop being the Traveler, she's going to have some mixed feelings about that. And given the egotistical and dismissive personality of Artagan, Jester's view on him might change. In the morning, however, before the party continues on their journey, the Traveler reveals himself to the rest of the Mighty Nine and reveals that he is not a god and he does need help with TravelerCon. And the party is extremely caught off guard by this newfound revelation, and they're rather unsure and hesitant to fully accept him and what he wants. Since a lot of the members are followers of a religion, they feel that it would be wrong for the Traveler to abandon his followers like that. And so the party collectively tries to come up with a solution or an idea for TravelerCon that would allow the Traveler to take a little bit of a break, but also strengthen their belief. And Caduceus comes up with the idea of telling a story, specifically Jester's story, since the only reason the Traveler exists is because of Jester. Her strong beliefs in Artagan sparked this entire religion. And as this conversation progressed and new ideas were brought up, and the ideas of Jester being sort of the figurehead in the religion, since it really is her that started it, could the party actually change Artagan's perspective on this religion? Perhaps he is fully checked out and doesn't want to continue down this path, but because he sees how devoted Jester is and how devoted the rest of his followers are, maybe he will appoint Jester to be the new Traveler, and then perhaps she will ascend to a godhood of some kind. Eventually, the conversation does come to a close, and the Traveler leaves the party to their own devices. Now, obviously, the rest of the Mighty Nine are concerned for Jester's well-being and ask her how she's feeling, if she's all right with this newfound information. And Jester does say that she's unsure and rather overwhelmed, and she's not quite sure how to process everything that just happened. But then the party continues on their journey to find the oasis. And after a few hours of traveling, the party came across a few sections of fungus growing on trees. Large purplish blue mushrooms with a waxy feeling underneath. And when these mushrooms are disturbed, they release poisonous spores into the air. And it would appear that the wax that is a part of this fungus is covering up bones. Now, this definitely raises some red flags, but nonetheless, the party continues forward. And eventually, the party comes across mounds of perfectly clean, bright red dirt. Just regular dirt. They investigate it, they poke it, they dig through it, and it's just really clean dirt. They spent the better part of about 20 minutes trying to investigate and discern the nature of this dirt, but Ultimately, they concluded that it's just clean dirt. As the party continued on, they came across a larger overgrowth of this fungus, and curiosity took over the party, and Caleb began firing firebolts at this mass of fungus, and it started oozing out whatever was dissolved underneath. And it released this absolutely putrid smell into the air. And so the party swiftly left the area and continued on their path towards the oasis. However, after a few more minutes of traveling, the party found themselves pursued by insectoid-type creatures. And, of course, a battle ensued. Now, this wasn't too high stakes of a battle, but Caleb did almost fall unconscious, but he did turn into his giant ape form, where he was able to survive. And after waves and waves of these insect creatures, the party eventually did prevail and decided to take a little bit of a rest in the middle of the jungle to recover from their wounds. Bo decided to lead the party in another meditation where they were able to relax and rest up before continuing forward. After a few more hours of travel, the party eventually came across the oasis. They entered this clearing where there is a pristine, crystal clear lake ahead of them, and various sculptures of animals all lined across the bank of this lake. Very, very detailed and intricately carved sculptures as the party investigates further. And at the end of the lake, they see a cave entrance, which is most likely where Caduceus needs to go. However, the sculptures begin to change the closer the party gets to this cave. Not only are there animal sculptures, but there's also sculptures of various humanoid creatures. Some humans, maybe some elves. They all seem to be sculpted so perfectly. And the closer and closer they get, the poses and expressions that these sculptures have show fear, anger, aggression. And now obviously everyone begins to wonder, are these actually sculptures, or did something turn these people to stone? And at that moment, Caduceus and the rest of the party see something that breaks their hearts. We know that Caduceus's family headed down this same area in search of what Caduceus is looking for. But Caduceus never received word back from his family of how their progress was going. And, well, now we know why. Because standing frozen in time at the mouth of this cave, we see Caduceus's family turned to stone. And after a brief moment of taking that all in, the party hears a noise, a metallic, bestial noise coming from the forest. And as the sound of massive hoofbeats becomes louder, a massive gorgon appears from the tree line and begins to head towards the party, where I'm sure a battle will ensue. And that is where the episode ends, on another insane cliffhanger. So with all that being said, we're going to wrap up. Let me know all of your thoughts, feelings, and emotions during that episode. I hope you all have an absolutely fantastic rest of your Valentine's Day, and I will see you all next week.